Hey everyone, it's Chris here, and welcome to episode 3 of the little mini-series that we've been doing for, the last week at this point. No dedication is good enough, detailing my day-to-day war with anxiety and depression, something that I've lived with for over a decade at this point. So, in this episode, we're going to be talking about probably the main reason for my depression at the moment, and sort of how it's gotten this bad, which hasn't been this bad in quite a long time, which is stress, and since I usually put like 2 subjects into each of these videos, probably the main reason for my stress levels at the moment, which affects my depression incredibly negatively, which is my work. This is not a video where I'm going to be bashing my workplace at all. So people thinking I'm going to go rogue against where I work, far from it. But it's just simply a generalization about how difficult work can be when you have, either anxiety or depression, a mixture of the two, or, any other sort of mental illness, how difficult your work can be. So, a bit of backstory. I got my first job when I was 20 years old. I believe I mentioned it in episode 1. And so, for sort of like, I think it was about 5 years, I was kind of hopping from job to job. I never really had anything permanent, bar the first job I had, which I was there for nearly 2 years. And it was an entry-level job. It was working at a convenience store, just doing pretty much anything and everything. I used to work mostly the late shifts. So they were 2 o'clock until, they say 11, but that's just when the place closed. So obviously you'd have to stay behind and do anything else that you needed, like wasting expired stock, making sure that everything's neatly put away for the next day, cleaning the store, like the floor and stuff, especially if it's been a pretty wet day. Then you have to get I don't know what they used to call it. I'd call it a floor buffer, but instead of like wax, it's water, one of those things. And empty that out. Bloody hell, that stunk. That was awful. It's fine though, until the pipe starts corroding at the back, and you get it everywhere. But anyway, so yeah, I did that for nearly 2 years. And I just wanted to get out. I wanted to get out for about 6 months. The last 6 months I was there, I wanted to get out. So did a lot of people, because it started to become like a mass exodus, you could say, of the main people who've been there since the beginning. And yeah, I finally got my chance, but I made a pretty big mistake. Which was, I decided to work in a place that was a temporary job that could give me a permanent job. Yeah, I didn't have job security there. What's worse is I had to go in to hospital 3 weeks after I started to have an operation. And the recovery time for the operation was about 2 weeks, but I had complications, which meant that essentially I was off for another week. And yeah, I think I had like a 6-month training thing there. They knew about it because I told them about it, but I signed up through an agency, and agencies are bloody terrible. Honestly, if anyone anyone sort of young gets a call from an agency saying, "Oh, I got this job for you," I'd just put the phone down on them. On an honest note, for them, because I've done that before myself. I did that for a couple of days as a test job. They essentially they don't care about your dreams or your aspirations or what you want to do. They just want to get you to have this crappy job that you, in your heart of hearts, you really don't want, because they get commission off it. Essentially, it's a sale for them. Instead of trying to pick the right candidate for the right job, they'll just try and hustle you into anywhere. And if they get you into a certain place, then if they get you anywhere, then that's how they get sort of like a bit of commission on that. So yeah, you'd think that they're sort of maybe sticking their neck out for you or doing things for you. No, they're probably asking about 8 different clients the same thing. So on a nice note, just sort of look through like websites or newspapers or whatever you see, and apply directly to the company. Don't use like an agency or whatever, because more than likely they're like, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. More than likely you'll get something that's not for you. And especially if you like even temporary, I think they still get commission on that. So you could end up, unemployed like 3 months or 3 months, 6 months later. They wouldn't give a crap because they've got commission, so they don't care. So that's what happened with me, and essentially what happened is that communications completely broke down between the agency and my employer. Since I was technically employed through the agency, I was essentially in the middle while both of them... Let's think of a scenario here. So you have an agency represented by someone, just a random person, and the place you work for is also like a random person, and you're trying to talk to them, and both of them have their backs turned to you, and like earphones in, and like Rammstein's playing like full blast or something, only not as nice. And that's pretty much what it was. If not, the other thing would be they're having a tennis match. You're trying to grab the ball, but they're hitting it too hard to each other. I mean, they're essentially one's going, you got to talk to the agency. The agency's going, you got to talk to the place that you work. And it's just back and forth, and I got nowhere. So in the end, the contract expired because neither of them bothered with me. So yeah, that's why I always implored people, not with agencies. Agencies are terrible. As I said, they're only out to support themselves. They don't care about you. They just don't. But anyway, so like some problems with that when it comes to work, and I finally started to get my life around a couple of years back. Again, it was just another entry-level job working at a DIY store. I was working earlies, part-time, because I'd sort of been jumping around from job to job for a couple of years at that point, on sort of part-time work, so I wasn't used to full-time work. So, yeah, and I stayed there for... How long would it have been? Probably would have been about 9 months. And I went straight from one job to another, which is the current job I have. Where essentially I work on a help desk at the moment, in maintenance. So, yeah, I've been working there now for nearly 14 months at this point. And I'm still there. I'm still going. But, yeah, it's gotten very difficult. I mean, you have with any workplace you have, essentially the workplace is like marriage. There's the honeymoon period at the start where you're loving everything. Then there's the content period, contentment period where you're content with where you are, you're fine with where you are, but that little bit of excitement's gone but you're happy where you are. You're happy that you're there. You're fortunate that you're there. You're glad you're there. The next step is you want out immediately. Actually, there's probably one step before that, which is you're starting to see the holes. So, yeah, my current job, the honeymoon phase, lasted quite a while, actually. Longer than I expected. But I think it was about 7 months. 7 months, something like that. Which is pretty long, actually, and I was really enjoying my work. There were bits I didn't enjoy. I mean, if you work on a maintenance help desk, you've essentially got to log calls from the client in question when they've got a maintenance issue, whether it's, a blocked toilet, a light's gone, there's there's a roofing leak, someone smashed a window, or, something along those lines. And so you're bound to get those that are literally just there to annoy you, and they know they can get away with it, and they will, right? And people may be saying, "Well, no one's like that." You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how often, like, if you was to call any help desk, and you don't speak to them like you're above them, then congratulations, you're one of the good ones. But there are a lot that don't. There are a lot who, will... I mean, you get your different class. You get your rude ones, you get your needy ones that will repeat the same thing over and over again. It's like, I heard you the first time. Obviously you don't say that because it's customer service. You gotta try and do customer service with a smile, even though you're speaking very happily through gritted teeth. You get the impatient ones that say hello right after they've just finished a sentence. So, I have this problem. Hello? So, yes, I am here. I'm listening to you. Again, don't say that because it's customer service. But yeah, they do, on some occasions, do treat you like a piece of meat. They essentially, like, you're there to, submit to their whims and crap like that. And in the end, that's not the case, and they get very annoyed when that isn't the case. It's just that whoever made up the term "the customer's always right" does not know what they're talking about at all, because on some occasions the customer is not right, and anyone who thinks they are always right, I will then show you a narcissist, because that's what they are. But yeah, it's getting to the point that essentially I'm banging my head against a brick wall with some, and you start noticing certain areas of the country where it gets worse, where their behaviour gets worse. They either get more needy, more rude, or more, what's the other one I said? Impatient, that's the one. And I don't mean sort of like very sort of informal, sort of chummy informal. That's not rude to me. No chance, because I actually don't mind those people. I actually quite like talking to those. They're great. But it's just those who think that they're the only people in the world kind of thing, and want like the whole world at their fingertips and think they should be able to touch the moon from their front door. Kind of thing. I may be over-exaggerating. I probably am over-exaggerating, but, it is those people that really make me hate my job. And as I said, I don't hate my job. There's nothing really that the job's done to annoy me, to make me upset. There's not really been anything. It's no fault of the job itself. It's everything around it. It's not the people that I work with, or the people I work with are great. It's like our associates who help us out and help out clients as well. So like the middlemen, you could say. They're great. They're brilliant. you know. But it's all like, it's everything around it. Like, we recently, because I had to join a different help desk during the main part of lockdown. You know, and that was fine. We had less operatives than on the current help desk that I've been on for ages. But it was nice. It was nice to know that there's, it's a different part of the company. It's a similar thing, but there are different aspects of it. It's a different system to use, etc., etc. And it was actually quite a nice experience. Bar one small detail, which I won't get into, but it involved one of the subcontractor engineers, and yeah, all I can say is actually, I'm speechless when it comes to them. They are, let's put it this way, I hope to never talk to them again. So there. But yeah, so obviously, came back, and it was just, obviously, since everything was starting to open again, it got really busy. Like, really busy. Like, to the point that there was no time to do any of your tasks. Nothing. Gone. Vapor. And slowly it started getting worse. And, it was more and more. And more and more. It would just continue. Like every week there'd be bad news. And it wouldn't be and there's no one anyone could blame about it, because there wasn't like a physical being that was calling the shots on these. That we can go, why is this happening? And it was like, oh, it's a direction, a blah, blah, blah. It's just, it'll make things better. But it made it worse for 2 months. I mean, it is now getting better. A lot better. Right? And that's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. And, I'm starting to feel content again with my job. For those 2 months, though, I have never wanted to leave a place so fast. Never. Yeah. Apologies to anyone who works with me for hearing that, but I don't care. It's true. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's thought it. But like, for example, I still work from home at the moment. It's mid-August, and yeah, I'm still working from home for the time being. Obviously, completely understand that. If the office is not equipped, obviously, to be safe, obviously during the pandemic, then yeah, best to keep us at home. But I certainly much rather my dual screens, a keyboard, a mouse, and a PC tower, rather than a laptop on really bad Wi-Fi that glitches out all the time, probably through overuse, because I work a lot. And yeah, as I said, those last 2 months, I'm not going to go massively into it, but sort of like small things like just like the increased workload. We were doing more stuff around on the help desk, like way more than we ever have done. And it was pretty much, there was very little time to breathe before the next thing comes in. So, it was all go, and I felt like I couldn't keep up. And I take a lot of pride in my work. I try and do the best that I can do. I've tried to keep myself together on a difficult call when I'm like halfway to breaking down. And, and just slowly it's getting, you just get worse. And in the end, you start dreading going to work. And that's never a good thing to happen. It's never fun to dread going to your work. You should always try and be at least neutral, with where you work. Because the moment it goes below neutral is when the problems start. and I am slowly on the way back up to, getting to at least that neutrality. But yeah, for those couple of months, it was a nightmare. It was an absolute waking nightmare. And it was a tough old couple of months. I don't know where the bloody hell my life went in that time, on an honest note, because it feels like a blur now, but going through it felt like years. Yeah, it felt like years off my life, that one. But, as said, it's getting better now. The tough bits are over with. As long as I can get through to next weekend, well, yeah, next weekend, then all will be good. I hope that all will be good. And that's very difficult for someone with depression to have hope. You feel just hopeless, in fact, a lot of the time. But it's really, when it comes to the future, it's really all you can have at the moment. You're hoping things go your way. You're hoping that, it doesn't get worse. You're hoping that it gets better. You're hoping that you can cope. You're hoping that you can, enjoy the small moments that you are allowed to enjoy. And, my work-life balance is completely lopsided at the moment, and it has been for the last couple of months. As I said, due to the strain that the work has put on me. As I said, no fault of the work. There's nothing they could have done about it. But as I said, I just really didn't feel like I could keep up with that, so my performance has probably dropped. But I'm still there. There's not been any sort of talk about my performance. So either they haven't said anything about it yet, or I know more about my performance drop than they do, or maybe I'm over-exaggerating my drop in performance. I'm not sure. Guess we'll find out in the next couple of weeks, though. But yeah, job's still secure. I'm still there. Still working my arse off as usual. And yeah, my next day off is Wednesday. I'm back in Thursday and Friday, and then I'm off the weekend. Because I'm working this weekend. My third and 6 actually. So yeah, but that's dying down as well. Obviously working a lot of weekends and stuff. So yeah, I'll be back to normal hopefully very soon. Anyway, guys, I think that's gonna be it from this one. For this episode of No Dedication is Good Enough. Again, nearly forgot it. I should really try and remember that. But I will see you for more PDC World Championship Darts Pro Tour tomorrow, and well, I think I'm gonna go to bed in a minute because from the last episode, I really could do with some sleep. So I'll see you then.